Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jefferson.
That's right. It is Luons Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. Dan Leonard's trying to secure a deal to get a new car, so it's just me for right now. If he messages me and tells me he's back, I'll send him a link. Dwayne Keene comes in and says, good afternoon to all. Ricky Cicada in the chat. Will Bode saying the same thing, and then Dwayne Keene follows it up with, let's go, Detroit Lions, Kings of the North Division Championship title last year. We can do it again this year. Love it. One pride, brothers. Big news of the day, Jay Jetta got paid 4-year, $140 million. $110 million fully guaranteed with an $89 million signing bonus up front. Now the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. I mean, yes, that breaks down to $35 million a year. Braylon, you can say it's an overpay, but at the same time, everybody has said Jay Jetta was going to get more than Amon-Ra right off the rip. It was all across. Jay Jetta, CeeDee Lamb, and Jamar Chase are all due to be paid real soon. Jalen Waddle got a little less than Amon-Ra, which is deserving because he's been a little less than Amon-Ra. So that being said, I think Jay Jetta got paid what he was expected to be paid. Yes, Lions mandatory minicamp this week. Everybody will be there. We'll probably stop hearing about UDFAs beating out starters because all the starters will be there now. But what's crazy is this might be the last of the OTAs, according to the new CBA. If this season's not the last, it will be next year. And I'm kind of sad about it. But let's break it down. $88.89346 million is that signing bonus for Jay Jetta that got deposited in his account today after signing that contract. Matt Henry, good afternoon, sir. Say what you want. It breaks down to $35 million a year. They just paid $7 million a touchdown for last year because Jay Jetta had 5 of them. I think it's a terrible idea to eliminate OTAs. I think it's a god awful idea. You You bring your vets to get comfortable just before the draft so they get used to working out at the team facilities again. You bring your rookies in to get comfortable with the second year's player. I think CD Lamb's going to fall in between Jefferson and ARSB. He is worth more than his touchdowns last year, JB, but all these players are overpaid. Amen. Number one, we have to remember this sport wasn't so guys could get paid. Remember back in the day, not that long ago, these guys had to have summer jobs to make it through the year unless they were superstars. And that wasn't that long ago. Now, even the bench riders make 750,000 a year. And we can gripe. Yep, and Tariq wants a new contract also because he was the highest paid wide receiver when he got paid. Then Devontae Adams got paid more 2 weeks later. It isn't Goodell's idea. That's the NFLPA that wants to do away with it because they want to add one more regular season game and one less preseason game. And they say it's to reduce off-season injuries. And yet, at the same time, these guys that are complaining about off-season injuries don't realize that lowering the amount of off-season workouts they did already has led to an increase of 33% on soft tissue injuries. I'm not talking about the career enders and CTE and all that stuff. I am talking about hamstrings, ACLs, PCLs, MCLs, LCLs. Uh, yeah, you could. We don't celebrate that Pride Month and the one Pride. And look at the field there conditions that are out there. Carolina Panthers have an awful field. Arizona Cardinals have an awful field. We all know about the Giants Jets field and it being the field of knees because from 2018 to 2023 it was 39 knees out there. Right. That's it. You need OTAs so your body doesn't get soft when the season starts. They're talking about doing it a ramp up and not doing anything till actual training camp in mid-June. And then they'll have two of those uh two team workouts, not in the preseason, and then two during the two games of the preseason. Each team gets to work with the other team, which I'm good with the preseason stuff, but in a way, who are you choosing? You don't choose a divisional opponent because you don't want to work out with somebody that's going to know even a quarter of your playbook before you start. It looks like we're going to see a lot of those interconference preseason games from here on out. It used to be one mandatory in your division and two outside your division. I think that's going to go away. I think it's going to be two outside your division every time, just because of them wanting to do the joint practices. That's just my opinion. I know I wouldn't want to work out with somebody in my division just before the season, especially if I got to play one of them week one. Yep, you also need your rookies to get up to NFL game speed, not college game speed, NFL game speed in the preseason. And lo and behold, I heard a report out of Jets camp. Yep, we signed Ennis Rakestraw. And the big news that came out over the weekend, Cam Sutton's no longer on the roster. The contract was voided because the 12.5 went straight to the salary cap. We now have 40 million in cap room. That's huge. Now we got room to do something with. Right. It's the adjusted cap. It breaks it down to 38 million, but overall cap space is listed as 40.5. We lost 2 million in dead cap over that because you have to lose something because he was on the roster to a certain point. But I looked and Cam Sutton's not on listed on any contract site anymore. It's gone and the money was added back to the cap room. So that means it's a done deal. The contract was voided like we predicted on June 1st. I said if it got done, it'll be the 12.5 will just come off the books and we'll never even miss it. It'll probably happen and no one would know. And it did. It happened June 1st, which was Saturday. Off the books on Monday. Actually, yesterday they was off the books. But let's look at this. They say it resets the market. No, it sets the market. Resetting the market would be lowering the cap hit. Setting the market is at a higher bar. But technically, next year, even though he comes in at that 35 million as an average, he's still second place in wide receivers because there's a guy with a bigger cap hit, Devontae Adams, with $45.5 million. I expect a restructure to come up because that's the last year of that backloaded contract. They're probably going to try to keep him for a couple more years. I know I would because they can't afford to trade him because there's still a huge dead cap this year and another huge dead cap next year because his contract was fully guaranteed, if you remember right. Backloading the contracts to save money up front seems really smart till it comes time to pay the piper, people. And that's why, if you look at that golf contract, that 69.6 does not look good. I don't care how you break it down, that's awful. What if he says, oh no, this is my first big payday, I want it? What if he refuses to restructure? Nobody's put that into perspective yet because he took less money this season. He's getting what he would have paid this season, next season in 32.6. That's his first real payday. You can say it was a home team discount. There really wasn't a discount. And I also said if it got done, there wouldn't be a discount. Yeah, I think there should have been. Absolutely. Yes, mandatory mini camp start this week. So your five standouts, because one guy was on the list twice from the OTA so far. Terrion Arnold made the list as the top guy twice. Second place, believe it or not, Mitchell Agood, the way he played the second week, moved him up to 2. Khalif Raymond's 3. Traquan Smith is 4. And your fifth place guy, Sion Vaki on special teams. Giovanni Manu, I heard, has been doing really well and grasping what Hank Fraley and the other guys are teaching him. So we may have our right or left tackle of the future. Who knows where they're going to put him? We know that Panay Sewell can play both sides at a high level, and everybody forgets that. So the Cam Sutton contract's voided. Justin Jefferson got paid. No matter how you break it down, he got paid. And Amon Ra got paid this year. I think they might leave him right at right tackle with Manu. Right now, they got him listed as the backup right tackle to Panay Sewell. And what I'm thinking is going to happen, we're going to move our All-Pro, Pro Bowl caliber tackle to the left side if Decker retires or walks next year. And Christian Mahogany, nothing lost with losing Jonah Jackson. And we don't even have to start him this year because we have Zietler in front of him for him to learn from. That's a huge boon to Christian Mahogany. The only difference is Mahogany's a right guard only because of one leg being shorter to the other, which is why he fell. He has no versatility on the center of the O line. He's built literally like the perfect right guard, with that one leg being shorter than the other. And how he fell to the sixth round is still confounding to me because his stats and his play says he's so much better than that. 31 teams made mistakes 5 times before we picked him. That's all I got to say. He will probably go down as the steal of this draft because I have the feeling he'll project in the same manner that Jonah Jackson did. Second year, be a Pro Bowler. Yoli Cruz, our resident Packer fan, coming in. How you doing, Yoli? I'm doing fantastic. Cam Sutton's contract's off the books. I kind of hope Mahogany is a pirate for Halloween. That's funny. Um, Amon-Ra's no longer the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. Things are looking good. Mandatory mini camps are coming up. And I don't know how the men feel about it, but any man that gets an arrest warrant for domestic violence, they should be cut from their team. Oh, that's right. You're a teacher. That's right. Thank you for being an educator in this system. I understand the system doesn't help you. I understand they have you guys overworked and underpaid when it breaks down to per student per year. Thank you for what you do. You must truly love it to continue to do it. Rank my top 5 wide receivers in order. Well, right now I'd have to say AJ Brown's number 1 because he outperformed. I don't know about the McManus situation. We'll talk about that in a second, but I'm going to go with this top 5 wide receivers in order. AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, uh, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Jay Jetta, CD Lamb. That's no particular order. I can't put them in an order because it isn't fair. I'd want to put Amon-Ra number 1, and I know he's not. I have the feeling he's more like number 3. So let's see. Tyreek Hill right now, I think, is number 1. Just because the yards he puts up, the touchdowns he does, the big plays he does in that system, he's a number 1 all day. Number 2, if he could stay healthy for an entire season, Jay Jetta would be number 2. So I got to put AJ Brown there. 3 is Amon Ra. 4 is Jay Jetta. 5 is CD Lamb. 6 through 10, there's a plethora of guys you could throw in there. If Justin Jefferson stays healthy, he's one of the best out there. 6, I think I'd have to throw Jamar Chase in there because he still had good stats even with no QB since week 5 last year. Um, and that's something to consider about quarterback play on these guys. When it drops like that, it drops them, but it's no fault to them because they're still a good player. I got Jamar Chase at 6. Jalen Waddle's in my top 10. God, and then Cooper Cup. I can't put Puka Nakau for a great rookie season. He's got to do it more than 2 years in a row. I'd have him in my top 15. Um, Nico Collins, the way he played, and a lot of that had to do with CJ Stroud. He still had a great season and he deserves to be in the top 10. And he got paid like he's a top 10 wide receiver, too, at the 3 years, $72.5 million. Let's go a little further. So we're to 9 now, right? I could probably throw DJ Moore right here. Until we know what Caleb Williams is, I can't put DJ Moore higher or lower than 8 or 9 for me. And I won't throw a rookie in my top 10. As good as everybody projects Marvin Harrison Jr. to be, you got to remember he has Kyler Murray throwing to him. So at 10, George Pickens quietly having a great year with no quarterback. He had great seasons with no quarterback. He has a diva attitude. Yes, I get it, but his style of play equates well in the NFL. And I think you'd have to lump all of the Green Bay Packers wide receivers, as much as us Lions fans like to talk shit. They are all solid number twos, so you'd probably have to put them through 15 through 25. As much as I hate to say that, because they're our enemy. But you also got to throw Keenan Allen in there. I will not put a rookie in my top 25 when there's 32 teams with bets on every roster. That's just me. So my first wide receiver out of the rookies would be Marvin Harrison Jr., then Roma Dunze, and then Malik Neighbors. That's where I'm going with it. My top 25 are going to be vets or second year guys at least. Does anybody disagree with my rankings I put out there right there? Now, McManus, let me look up that situation and see what's going on, the Brandon McManus situation. I think it had something to do with some sexual allegations. Great kicker, but he has a sexual lawsuit filed last month. So made 30 of 37 for the team and made all of his extra points last year for the Jags. If the team didn't sign him in the offseason, they got him semi cheap at $3.6 million. Wow. Yes, we have the third amount of cap space. But you gotta remember, none of those bags hit this season other than Goff, who restructured his contract to save us $5 million, Ricky Sakat. But we all said that could happen as of June 1st, and it did. It quietly happened over the weekend without an announcement. So with the third most in cap space, Brad Holmes seems to like our secondary room. I don't think the cornerback's in order. He said he likes our wide receiver room. I don't think that's in order. But I will say, Mr. Jack Bates became human and missed a clutch kick outside yesterday. He was 2 for 3 and missed the game winner for the Panthers. But they rematch in 2 weeks with the same team in the conference championship. This is the week off for the UFL. It could be Ricky Sakat. And I said all along, whatever happens, we'll know June 1st. I had a feeling it might not come off the books. But yeah, we all said as soon as there was no word, the big signing stopped. The last signing we made was Zietler an hour before that arrest warrant came out. An hour after that, we put in the paperwork to void the contract. But seeing how it was all around the draft time and all around free agency and all that stuff was going on in the NFL, they didn't have time to review the contract to see if he actually voided his own contract. And evidently, the wording of the contract said yes, he did void his contract. That's why the NFL upheld it. And now we have the extra cap money this year and also extra cap money next year. Because remember, that was a futures contract with another balloon payment of 13 million next year. So I believe next year's cap goes up too. Let me double check that for you. Make sure I'm reporting this properly. Yeah, because we went from having only 30 million left next, 33 million left next year to 46 million left. And it's Rake Straw. I just saw it. He's making 1.17 million as a cap hit. I think the only one left to sign now is Terrion Arnold, which he has to be signed by tomorrow to be at the mandatory OTAs because that's the ruling. So I have the feeling they'll get that done. I don't think we have to suffer through another rebuild. If you look at it, the contract for Goff is a 2-year window because of that $69.6 million cap hit in 2026. Our total dead money this year is now 25.236. I was right. There's that 2.1 million that comes off is Cameron Sutton. It's a $2.18 million cap hit. That was his roster bonus for being in the training facility at the start of free agency. That's all we took for a hit. Considering that was supposed to be a $8.5 million dead cap hit, that's huge. Tracy Walker was the biggest dead cap hit this season. And because we gave him guaranteed money, $2,000 is what we gave Isaac Rex when we cut him, and that's what came off as dead money. We got rid of Ryan Swoboda, Greg Bell, Mohamed Ibrahim, Zach Morton. I always had high hopes for Zach Morton. That kid was good out of Toledo. I was hoping we'd see him this year, and we don't. They didn't bring him back. Guy has a high motor. He would look like a 3-down type of defensive end. He just never cracked the roster, which means he wasn't good enough to beat Romeo Aquara, which means he's not good enough to beat here. Next year, Goff gets his 32.6. Decker's still on the books next year, but he's off the roster. It's the voided contract years. There's 2 of them. This year and next year, he gets $3.9 million automatically. Second highest paid is Frank, then Aiden Hutchinson. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes up to 13.9, so he's actually not getting $30 million next year, like everybody predicted he would. Penei Sewell is getting his 5th-year option pay of $9.5 million plus the signing bonus that didn't count towards that cap hit. But then in 2026, we have $69.6 million. $69.8 million. Carlton Davis is off the roster. Alex Anzalone's off the roster that year. So, yes, we have a little money to add more firepower. But remember, anywhere from 10 or 8 million to 18 million is required for your rookie signings. So they usually put that away. So take that off. We still got 24 million next year. I don't see how the team that's built around Goff to make our team this good gets worse after 2 years if we do have to cut Goff. And I'm not saying we do. Listen to the words. I said if. Because like I said, if he gets us to a Super Bowl, just gets us to a Super Bowl, they're going to restructure that year 3 deal on immediately. You watch. If he doesn't get there this year, and next year he doesn't get there again, we're going to be looking at the progression of Hendon Hooker a lot more closely. I don't think they're getting rid of Hooker. He's not trade bait. There's no reason to trade him. We could potentially have the win-win situation as a backup at quarterback right now for the next 2 years. And I think Hendon Hooker was told this. I always like to look at worst case scenario when it comes to drafting, because there's always a team that goes to the playoffs and fails to get there, and there's always a team that was in last place that gets to first and gets there in both conferences. We've seen it all the time. Last year it was the Houston Texans. This year, who's it going to be? I don't think it's Jacksonville. I don't think it's the Titans. Don't have the firepower yet to be considered that type of guy, and losing Henry is bigger than everybody realizes. I think the Panthers might be marginally better. I think they can win 6 games this year. I think the Giants can win 6, maybe 8 games this year because the defenses are that good. It's not because the offense. As somebody was comparing QBs in the NFL, and I found out an interesting stat about Starbucks. Their smallest coffee is called a tall. You know who agrees with that sentiment? Kyler Murray and Bryce Young. But we are live in the Huddle Sports Network on Roku. We are live on my podcaster page, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions. The show is Luons Talk. So please, got any more questions? Throw it in there. But yeah, potentially we could add some more key pieces, but more like Brad Holmes says, the way he's built this roster, it's plug holes with vets in the free agency and get your starters out of the draft. And I think that's the way it's going to continue. If you have to remember, 70% of that Super Bowl roster for the Rams was scouted and handpicked, according to Les Snead, by Brad Holmes. And they didn't have a first round pick for how many years? So I have the feeling we're going to get to that point where we're going to trade for one of those top players eventually to be that big time starter. We're going to make a trade. We're not going to sign him in free agency. We're going to trade for somebody because he learned from Les Snead. And the Rams have said F those picks in the top part of the rounds. And with the way he drafts in the back end of the rounds, are you really afraid if Brad Holmes decides, hey, we're going to trade this year and next year's first to get X player to fit our roster? Because we finally found the guy that fits. That roster for teams was bought. But yes, it is the Cam Sutton off the roster is why we have that much money, Leonard. It is confirmed. The dead cap wasn't 8.5. It didn't cost us the 12.5 against the cap this year. That's where all that money came from. That 12.5 cleared, and then there's a $2.185 million dead cap hit, which makes us have 38 point X amount of dollars, millions left. And now that means we got room if we need it's a relief. Because what did I say? If that isn't voided, then we're going to be able to sign Reckeshaw and Arlen and only have trade 3 first and go get TJ Watt. Or Max Crosby. That'd be my pipe dream. I don't know where Orlando is. He's sleeping, I guess. We keep going back and forth from 447 to 446 on the subs. It's like every time we get one, we lose one. It's irritating. I'd take Crosby over TJ because of injury history. Absolutely. That's why I said that. And Max Crosby actually said in an interview in the offseason when the whole head coaching thing, he goes, well, if we don't keep the head coach I want, the team I want to play for is the Lions. So there's that. He wants to be here. That's a lot saying trying to do my Big Dan, I think we should sit. It's actually 38 and change because there is a $2.1 million dead cap hit off of Cam. So the adjusted cap space is 38 and change. And Crosby played college up here at Eastern Michigan University. Absolutely. And we like getting those hometown guys later. We love getting hometown guys. DPJ. And Ben Johnson says he sees DPJ and Antoine Green filling in the void that Josh Reynolds left on the roster the other day in his presser. I find that interesting because everybody was writing AJ Green off with him being a seventh round pick, and evidently Ben Johnson isn't writing him off. Broderick Martin has had a quietly good camp. He's showing a better bend, as I thought he would, with that belly not being in the way of his thighs. The Raiders D line is going to be a problem. It wouldn't surprise me if they're contending for the division. I think third and fourth is going to be probably Broncos and Chargers in no particular order. I'm not labeling anybody as last place. It's just like in our division. Everybody got better, but at the same time, the teams at the top got a little better than the teams at the bottom did overall. And I'm talking top to bottom roster. I'm not trying to talk shit here. I'm being real. It's why a lot of fans, no, regardless of the fan base, see as it's Packers, Lions, then Vikings, Bears. And I'm not putting an order on that. Right. He wants to get on the field. AG just refused to use him. We saw him 18 snaps last year, 10 times he took on a double team. One of those that equaled Aleem McNeil getting a sack and a couple tackle for loss on runs up the middle. He also had a tackle for loss. I agree about the Raiders, and Minshew is a very serviceable QB, but it looks like AOC has been outperforming him so far this offseason. But think about that. If AOC's outperforming him and he gets hurt, they got somebody that can step in, and it's like they haven't missed a step with Minshew. And I said, don't forget, AOC played actually really well till the O line got hurt, and that's why I think AOC is their starter this year. I am not going to throw him in as a garbage guy. He actually had showed some flashes of being a really good quarterback last year. But under pressure, like most QBs, he made mistakes, and it was his rookie year. You expect it as a rookie if you're under pressure. Um, it's the same reason why I understand all the hype with Caleb Williams in Chicago. He looks like he's better. He looks this, he looks that, but it's still a rookie QB, and you don't know how he's going to react under the pressure of an NFL game. So until you see that, I don't like to make a judgment that a rookie quarterback's going to be great. I hope you understand that, Matt Henry. Yeah, we will see an improved pass rush from the interior. And that everybody's D line got better this offseason. Very few O lines improved dramatically, but the Bears marginally look much better than they were last season. But that's all on paper. Until you see it on the field, you don't know what you have. I'm just trying to be a realist here and not overhype any team and not underhype any team. Could the Bears go from last to first? There's a shot. There always is. They got a great defense. Say what you want. That was a top 10 defense last year. It improved dramatically by adding Montez Sweat mid-season. Do I think they overpaid him? Maybe slightly, but it actually worked out for them. They improved dramatically on defense. And that's the scariest matchup is Montez Sweat on Decker. I don't care what anybody says. Montez Sweat on Decker. Everybody says he took Sewell to lunch, and it was like, no, he had to switch sides. He got all his sacks off of the Decker side, off the blind side. Or if he went inside on Sewell and got past the guard. Thank you, Matt. I'm glad you're like me. You're more of a realist. I understand he has all the weapons to be successful, but there is a lot that must be proved on the field. Absolutely. And I'm sorry, if you actually read his draft profile, it reads exactly like Justin Fields did 3 years ago. Remember that, Matt Henry? It's the exact same thing. The pros and cons, the whole 9 yards. So until I see it on the field, I can't say he's going to be better than Justin Fields. I agree he probably has a better arm talent than Fields, but we don't know if he has a better head than Justin Fields. And that makes all the difference in the world with a quarterback. A smart QB beats out an arm talent QB. Pat Mahomes is the unicorn. I'm definitely a homer, but I'm much more a realist. I appreciate it, just like you appreciate me not being a slappy about everything all the time. I would have paid Amon Ra exactly what he got myself. I think 30, I said all along at most 30 million, but I was in the 25 to 28 million is where it'd have been. Oh man. Rest in peace to Cowboys Hall of Famer Larry Allen. Wonderful offensive lineman. Only 52 with his family on vacation with his family. Prayers to his family. Rest in peace. My condolences to the Allen family. Didn't Larry Allen also play for the Chiefs? I think I remember that. I am just yes, Amon-Ra St. Brown earned that contract 100%. I would have been much happier at the 25 to 28 million like Nico Collins and Jalen Waddle got, but I'm not mad at the 30. Ralph Williams, thank you, sir. Um, just to let you know, Cam Sutton's contract did get voided for the Lions. Um, Justin Jefferson got paid. He is now the highest paid average per year wide receiver in the NFL at 35 million. It was a 4 year, $140 million contract, 110 guaranteed with the 89 million sorting. Larry, it was the 49ers. Okay, thank you. I knew he played on a team in red and gold, but I could have swore it was the Chiefs. But a $110 million guaranteed, 89 million basically is what it breaks down to. It was like 88,93436 if you want to get down to the last dollar type thing. But it's an $89 million signing bonus hit Justin Jefferson's account today, which means he'll probably be at mandatory OTAs now. All he missed was the voluntary OTAs, and I predicted that would happen, that he was holding out for a contract or a trade. I didn't believe any of the trade rumors that were out there. There was even a couple Lions beat writers that, oh, we could trade for him. I thought it was a pipe dream then. I think it was a pipe dream still. And I was right. I I I love the fact that a lot of guys out there buy in and give the reasons why a lot of these trades will work out. But at the same time, I look at the realist side of it first before I report on it. I go and look at the cap hits. I look at this. I look at what you'd have to give in draft compensation. Yep. Did you see Lamar forfeit 750K by not going to OTAs? Yes, he did. But if he misses the mandatory, he loses double that. There's so much of that roster bonus that is practice money. Man, Henry says, as a Buckeye fan, I've always been torn about the field situation because he did improve every season, just like the team would want. But I also understand the business side of the NFL. Ryan Poles did not draft Justin Fields, first and foremost. So as a GM, do you want your horse hitch to a quarterback that only got marginally better every year? The short answer is no. That's why he made that deal. Now, could he have held out and gotten better draft compensation for him? Yes, if he'd have took the first before all the signings were done. One good QB. They put out some good players there, sir. I will defend that. And that CJ Stroud is the best quarterback they ever put out, hands down. But at the same time, who had a former NFL QB as a high school coach, I said he was fully developed when he got to Ohio State, is why he looked that way. I know why we wanted him to leave, and that's why we thought he was leaving. But at the same time, I did say if it was going to get done, it would happen before mandatory OTAs, and he'd end up staying. Did I want him gone? Sure. But you know what? Justin Jefferson hasn't been the reason, but in one game, that the Lions lost. They've actually done well of keeping his numbers down. And Matt Henry says correct. Foles wanted his guy, which is the business side. Absolutely. But if they'd have took that trade before all the signings started happening, that Washington offered right away, and I understand he did Fields justice by not letting him go to Washington and not letting him go here and not letting him go there. That's where I think Poles failed the business side, is by taking that deal with Pittsburgh for such a low pick after all the other signings were done. Because once they traded for Fields, they didn't need Fields as a starter because they already had Russell Wilson. It's a catch-22 when you get in that area. Holding out for a better offer sometimes nips you in the butt. Yep, he traded him to help Fields, but drafting his own QB buys him time to keep his job. Yep, absolutely. So you're telling me the 7 Hall of Famers that came out of Ohio State are not good players, Dan Leonard? Because there has been 7 that I can think of off the top of my head. Mostly on the defensive side of the ball, but Chris Carter being one of them. Chris Carter sucked. Rumor was Poles asked Fields where he wanted to go, so he took less in return to give him what he wanted. Yeah, I understand that. He did justice by Justin doing it that way, but he cost the team draft capital. They are, yes, they are tainted by that Ohio. God, I would say Garrett Wilson had the potential to be a top 10 wide receiver. He's going into his 3rd year. He's had good years with garbage quarterbacks. I still think it's funny that the Jets traded for a quarterback that only had 2 more plays than Manuel Mosley and 1 more snap than he did. Oh, he's just doing the Ohio State hate there, Matt Henry. He's trying to get you going. Well, looking forward to see what happens at the mandatory OTAs with the entire team intact and playing in the over the next couple of weeks before mini camp starts. Looking forward to a day off today, sitting back and relaxing. I love Wilson, man, but he has a ton of potential, but that Ohio yuck is stuck to him. Yeah, I know. Hey, at least Michigan's got that above you. We got 97 also. And I hate the fact that your national championship, your national championship came on the back of Maurice Claret that year. Isn't that what? Wasn't that the national championship year with Tressel? Man, what a bust he turned out to be. But there is one thing that Bears fans, Viking fans, and Lions fans can agree to. Our favorite sponsor of this show, FTP, for the people, by the people, fudge the Packers. Put it in a track. FTP, everybody. Pride Month. I understand. I know Nebraska claims it. They don't deserve it. I don't acknowledge it. My favorite paid sponsor that been paying me for 2 years now. Gloss Negron, the best window tinner in Saginaw, 409 Hamilton Street. That was an award given to him in 2023. He's up for the award again this year, so he must be keeping up that top quality work. 989-443-9240 to call him to schedule your appointment for your window tinting or your auto detailing. Call him now. Tell him Smoking Jeremy B sent you. Get that stuff rolling. He can make your whip look good, like that Maserati, the 300 C class, or the Audi. I was there for two of them to get done. Braylon and Davey knows how to follow the instructions. They put it in the chat for me. And last but not least, the place of my employment, Brandon Service. We're located right at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road, 602 West Atherton Road, Flint, Michigan. 48507 is the address. Stop in, used tires start at $40. If you need new tires, please give us a call. Ask for George, Red, or myself, Jeremy, Smoking Jeremy B. 810-233-8230. AJB, what's that saying? The one pride? I know. He lost like 40% of that team. Yes, he did. But anyways, hey, it's been a great show. I love talking football with you guys. Dan Leonard can talk his shit. When's the last time Miami won a national championship? Oh, that's right. Catholic and convicts. You guys all have a blessed day. I'm going to talk a little bit more before I say goodbye because I did the sponsorships early so I can actually close the show out the right way. I love doing this stuff. I love talking with you guys. Tune in tonight. Leonard and I will be on at 9 o'clock talking more in detail about things that have happened over the weekend. Michigan's a dynasty due to wins. That's it. Still the winningest program in college football history. And no, they weren't the first team in college football. Also get to see if we got any news out of the Giants camp from Leonard later. Sorry about the cooking show that didn't happen. I ended up sick. Leonard had a bad weekend as well, so we decided to postpone it a week. But as always, yes, Pistons finally have their new general or president of operations. Hallelujah. I don't know if we're getting a new coach yet or not. In a way, I hope not, because it's really not Monty Williams' fault the roster sucks. Monty Williams is a good roster as a good coach. That's all I got to say. But as always, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. Braylon, Matt Henry, Dan Leonard, uh, Ricky Sakat. Haven't seen Pat yet. He usually pops in. But I saw Davey. I saw a few others in there. Let's see who all else I saw. Big Dan Davis. Ralph Williams. Dwayne Keene. Will Vogel. It's been great seeing you guys this morning. Like I said, tune in at 9. We'll be doing more Lions talk, some Giants talk, little NFL around the world on Wednesday, and then the Lions fan cave chat on Friday night. And also, don't forget, we go live every day at noon. Have a blessed day, everybody. Smoking Dad was in the building. Gotta love him. Man, a lot of big deals getting handed out lately. Jalen Waddle got paid. He's making like $28 million a year. Nico Collins is making 27.5. Amon Ra's making 30. Justin Jefferson making 35. They say it sets the market, but the guy that's making bank next year is Devontae Adams at 45.5. They can restructure him, but they can't afford to trade him yet or cut him because it's still a dead cap bigger than that. But have a great day, everybody.
Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.